I think so.
All right, we're going to do another episode here. We're going to do the authentic self, your core identity.
Oh, here we go.
And we are going to react to Mr. Jordan Peterson, one of the greatest. I admire this man. Modern day something, right? You know, you got Shakespeare and all them other guys and notable people. A notable person of our times. So much respect for this man.
That is true. That is true.
Let's do it.
Information that's being provided to you from your body, sort of bottom up, to determine when you were being inauthentic or non-congruent. And I've thought about this for a long time and tried to sort it out in a practical manner, and what I've concluded is this. You could try this for a couple of weeks. It's an extremely interesting exercise. So you sort of have to detach yourself from your thoughts and what you say. So you got to assume, you start by assuming that what you say and what you think is not necessarily you. And of course that's just the case, because a lot of what you think, in fact most of what you think and most of what you say, are the opinions of other people. They're things you've read or things people have told you.
I totally agree with this past couple of years.
Yeah.
I feel like movies, music, and all forms of entertainment, video games has certainly dictated my outlook 100%.
Mine too. Mine too. In other areas, it's this impact of everything external coming into absorbing my mind, absorbing it. Surely I've said things that actually are other people's sayings. Of course.
I think most of us do. It's like a line in a movie. Some people create their whole identity off of lines in movies or songs from an album.
You're right.
Know? Like, oh, the Stones, dude. It's like, oh, shut up, dude.
You know, that's a benefit in some ways, because you get all those thoughts that other people have spent a long time formulating, but it's a disadvantage in that it's not exactly you.
Right.
Okay, so you detach yourself from that. You're no longer your thoughts or the things that you say, or maybe you're no longer all of them. And now what you're going to try to find out is which of your thoughts and things that you say are you. And maybe so you can not utilize the rest, or maybe so that you can correct the rest, because they're not representative of yourself as an integrated being. They don't take everything into account. My sense has been that you can tell when you're saying something that's not authentic by feeling out whether or not it makes you weak or strong. Now, you know, sometimes when you're conversing with people, you can say something that embarrasses yourself. Now, Nietzsche said, for example, everyone has perjured them.
He loves Nietzsche. I think he's great too.
Yeah,
themselves at least once,
guilty as charged
to maintain their good name. Something like that. It's not an exact quote, but I've got the gist of it right. So maybe you're saying things to impress someone, or you're saying things to remain part of your political group or your social group or whatever, or maybe you have attributes, personal attributes that might be positive that you're ashamed of, and so you're not going to speak about them. So there's a falseness about your self-representation. Watch for 2 weeks and see. Make a rule that if you start to say something and it makes you feel weak, it's hard to describe exactly what that means. To me, what it means is that I can feel things coming apart sort of in my midsection, so I think it's an autonomic phenomena. And
autonomic phenomena. Interesting. That just might become a new thumbnail, new episode idea. I love when people can say, I'm like, oh, that's one. Like, I'm like, that's term. Anyway.
Yeah. That's a good one.
The subjective sense is of falsehood. It's like I've just stepped off the solid ground and onto something that doesn't support me well, and it feels like a self-betrayal. So that's existential inauthenticity. You can feel it right away. And then the rule is, shut up. If that happens, stop talking, and then feel around and see if you can find some words that you can say in that situation that don't produce that sensation. And it's like, you see this played out in different forms of drama. So it's not all that obvious why a cliche is a bad thing, but a cliche is a bad thing in the same way that being possessed by the dead is a bad thing. It's like a cliche isn't you. It's something else. It's like the crowd. It's like the other. It's not living. It has nothing to do with you. And part of the reason that students use cliches is because it's easier than using your own genuine creative formulation. So you can just default to cliche use, But there's something more insidious than that, is that if you write an essay that's nothing but a string of cliches, and you get criticized, then you're not being criticized. What's being criticized is the cliches, and you can hide behind that, and the part of you that's wise but treacherous thinks, well, the criticism doesn't really apply to me because, you know, I didn't really say what I thought. And then there's this kind of sense you get that you've gotten away with something, which is a terrible thing. So when I read undergraduate essays, what I see very frequently is, especially the first essay, it's just nothing but cliches. It's awful. It's dull. You can hardly stand reading it because there's nothing in it that's gripping or alive. And then maybe the second essay, you can see there's a layer of cliche, and then now and then the person will be brave enough to poke up a thought of their own. It'll just sort of poke up somewhere maybe in 3 pages in. It's like this little green shoot that's barely alive, and the person is brave enough to pop it up in the hope that, you know, maybe it won't get walloped down with a sledgehammer. And so one of the things I try to do is to point that out. It's like, look, you know, this is something, there's a real thought here. It's a real original.
He's so great. I love this guy. I love him. I love him.
This is where he shines. I think if anything, when his online lectures, the ones he recorded at the University of Toronto, I think, he really shined in them. I learned a lot, even if I disagreed with him, I learned a lot of just how he thinks and how a way to think that I found very helpful.
Gotcha.
So this really is fascinating.
What an excellent teacher or educator, right, professor, who can make an online video and help someone who watches it to expand their worldview of themselves, and even wider than that, you know,
right,
to be able to unlock yourself, if you will.
Yeah.
You know?
Thought. It's something that you have the right to, because it's derived from your own experience and your own knowledge, and you've formulated it in an original and compelling way. But the problem with that is that if you get criticized for that, you're just going to pull right back into your shell, right? Because that hurts, because it's actually part of you that you've exposed.
Yeah.
And that's a terrifying thing, to expose yourself like that. But it's an absolute prerequisite to genuine communication and thought. So
That's
the
true.
ancient Mesopotamians, I haven't got time to tell you this story. If you want to hear it, you can come to my Maps of Meaning class in your 4th year. But the ancient Mesopotamians had figured out 5,000 years ago or so that the highest god in the hierarchy of gods, so sort of like the highest value, or the thing that should be imitated most carefully, was a god whose head had eyes all the way around it, and who spoke magic words. So the words he spoke could make the sun rise and make the sun set. Very, very powerful speaker. And the reason the Mesopotamians had figured this out to the degree they had was because they realized that the capacity to pay attention, which is the eyes, of course, because we really pay attention with our eyes, and then the capacity to speak properly is in fact the highest virtue. And so then you can check yourself. You can see. All you have to do is listen, like you would listen to someone else. And you have to feel, you think, do I actually believe that? Is that actually my thought? And really, I'll tell you, what you'll find is 95% of what you say has nothing to do with you. So it's quite shocking to do this, because you'll start to say something, and you'll think, oh.
I feel like that with a news cycle. I feel like you can just get hijacked, and like you're just regurgitating headlines and
well said.
Oh, come on. Like I watch the news, but I often remind myself that you just observe it. Just take it in. Don't sit here.
Yep.
I mean, sometimes I'll be like, oh, those people are so annoying, and why are you so dumb? Like, I'm doing what he's saying. I'm
Yeah.
That doesn't
with
feel
you
quite
100%
right.
there.
Like, it doesn't make me feel solid
This video has like 1 more minute, and then we'll start doing the wrap.
when I say it. There's something about that I'm subordinating myself to something or hiding in some way. It's very difficult to figure out exactly what you're doing, but you'll find out that almost everything that's abstractly represented, it has to be that way because you guys are all so young. So in some sense, you know way more than you can actually know, right? You've been taught all these things, but you don't know them. They're just in your head. In fact, they have you rather than the other way around.
Huh.
It's like,
They have
Oh, that's
you.
good. In Russia, the knowledge has you, you know.
Carl Jung said, people don't have ideas. Ideas have people. And that's something to
Yeah,
really think
that's
about,
good,
because
too.
then you want to watch and see what ideas there are floating around in your head and start to figure out where they came from, because it's highly probable that they're controlling you, just like a marionette is controlled by the puppeteer. It's
Like the
very,
news you
very
mentioned.
similar.
Interesting. All right. Let's go to the waves here. Let me drop this here. All right. You know, I'm gonna do a special bullet time here. We don't do them too often. I should bring them back. So
I like it.
I wrote a note while I was listening to that, something that I can share. So he was talking about that gut feeling when you talk about it. You can tell like inside. So I used to work at this liquor store, right? And so many of the people that would come in would be giant sports fans, right? Talking about all the Philadelphia sports teams, obsessed.
Oh, yeah.
And the
Yeah.
owners, like, oh God, they just love Philadelphia sports. You know, they would just sit there and blah blah blah. And
And then the rule is,
anyway, let me. So, I like sports. I actually like combat sports a lot. I like boxing. There's a lot of sports I do like, but like baseball, I like football. I've grown to like football a lot if I care about the playoff game. But for like the longest, man, like sports just wasn't it for me. I think playing sports is cool. I think being an athlete is fantastic. I think if you have a child who's an athlete and you can go to their games, greatest thing ever. But like if you're just sitting around watching the game and you're living vicariously through all these people and you're just coming in talking about every play and what you would have did if I used to be like try to act like I was interested and care. And that you always get that nerd, dork, idiot sports person, right? You could work with them too, and they'd be like, "That's not correct, man. In the third quarter, what actually happened was, duh." And I just used to be like, I don't give a fucking shit. Like, I just pretended to care to have a conversation, and you're an idiot sitting there going, well, actually, they used to have a different name in 1972, duh. And it's like, and then I would talk to him about, like, the stuff we talk about, and they were so dense when it came to knowledge, about true knowledge, right? Like, what do they think? Algebra was like the greatest knowledge ever. I took algebra, duh. And I say this about them because they were so stupid. It would always be like, the Philadelphia Flyers are going to da. And you say one thing wrong, and all they want to do is be like, well, no. Anyway, I had to share that because they annoyed me so much.
There's a couple interesting. There's so many interesting ideas in there. One is I had a similar experience with sport. Growing up, I was never really into sports like that. Like, wasn't the most athletic guy either. I'd play play sport with my cousins, like baseball or football in the yard or things like that. But American football or other football, soccer. But it wasn't until later when I got to Philadelphia, because I moved to Philadelphia,
They're different,
that I saw that here, at least here, and it's true in other cities, here it is a religion. It's almost a religion.
It is.
It's not already a religion for some people. They take it very seriously. Like, I had the privilege, and I do mean it was a privilege. I got to go to an Eagles game at the risk of sounding like it was very impressive. And I could see why people are so into it. The energy in the stadium was just magnetic. It was almost a religious experience for me. It was
Sure.
But I say too that I want the Eagles. I root for my home team like anyone, but I don't necessarily, like, if they lose, it doesn't ruin my whole year or my whole life. I might have that kind of stinks. Would have been nice to go to the playoffs with a friend of mine, or go to the bar and watch the playoffs, whatever. But, it's not the end of the world. Life goes on.
Yep.
But you're right. Some people get so wrapped up in it. Hey, they're passionate about it. Good for them. They found something.
Yeah.
When I don't share the exact level of passion, and then they come at you, like they'll call people like you and me stupid for not. Well, how can you not? Well, because there are other things too for us. Like have the
Many.
same respect, man. Like you know, yeah. Like I respect someone's heavy interest in sports. I have friends who are very interested in sports, but they also respect mine in whatever other topics we're just like the ones we're discussing now,
Yeah.
like authentic self.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I,
it's,
I, I, I kind of like make fun of those guys just because they were kind of some of them dudes like that would come in, or some of the kids I work with. They were dicks. They were assholes, and it's just like
yeah,
they're just
yeah. They
being
can
like
certainly
just being
can be
little
right.
dicks. You know what I mean? Like trying to be like
Yeah,
know-it-alls. And it's
the
like I'm
know-it-all
like,
type.
what kind of sports do you
Yeah,
play? Oh, you don't play any. Oh, I forgot. You're actually
that
not an
was
athlete.
right,
You're not. But
right.
you're sitting around here making your core, you're making your identity like, I like the Sixers, the Flyers, the Phillies. Like it's like it never
Well, he's
ends.
very tribal in a way, yeah, and
Yeah.
it's almost like a like I think too they're speaking with such immense authority, and sure they've studied, you know, or whatever they did, such authority on this subject, and if you don't have the knowledge they have, like they feel like they're like the high priest of this religion, and you are but the dirt under their boot. And I'm like, well, no, I'm just a human being with a different knowledge set. Like
Yeah,
that's not right.
it's just,
What are you
and
doing?
a lot of those people are getting heavily drunk. They drink a lot. They're just like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know. They're kind of like Karens. They're kind of like they're too emotional. They just constantly are just like whining and crying. I get what you said earlier about the community aspect of it and this.
right. There's a
That's
community sense, right?
that's
Yeah,
awesome. When you like
yeah,
when you start to get around with the people from the same area and you're united in
yeah.
your where you're all from and your city's
Yep.
names up in lights. That is cool. But there's
That's
just
the part I like about it a lot.
yeah. I mean
Yeah.
that goes for all
I'm a
sports.
big fan of that.
Big sports. Um, I just think people get carried away and they get distracted. And, I've done it before, and you could do it with movies, video games,
Oh yeah.
music. Forget it. Music, like you'll be in seventh grade, and this kid will be a dork playing a video game with you, playing it's like a just your dorks, and then they come back the next year, and their whole wardrobe has changed. The way they talk has changed. They're talking about the bitches, these females, these girls, and it
Oh
doesn't.
yeah.
And they're just like,
That
what happened? And then all of a sudden,
the fun of growing up,
they
right?
listen to a certain kind of music and they identified to it and they changed everything
changed.
about themselves to emulate this.
It's almost like Jordan Peterson might say or has said. I don't remember if he said it here in this video, but he did say something that as one grows up, one begins to when you're young, you know, you experiment a little with your
Yeah,
identity.
you should.
You'll try different things
Yeah.
because you're still trying to discover who you think you are, you know, and it's so there are going to be these very odd, I'm sure I've done it too, these odd dramatic shifts in like your interests and
Yeah.
you know you're trying different things and
Yeah.
eventually I think you settle around what you believe to be yourself, at least we hope.
Yeah.
Some people maybe not, but yeah, it's
My core self
funny,
right now is just
Yeah.
I am not. I don't know everything. I am
Right.
still learning.
Nor do
I'm
I.
trying very hard not to. I don't judge. I try really hard not to judge people harshly. I try to be kind, and I try to be a great dad, and I just try to love my family. And I do feel like I'm like cooler for those reasons, but again, that might just be
Yeah.
me trying. Now, some guy like might have lost. Something might have happened, and it wasn't his fault. And me acting like this makes him
Yeah.
feel like a piece of shit. And it's like, I apologize, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I guess your authentic self is ever evolving. It seems so.
Yeah, that's how I think of it too. This is not some central. I mean, this is the way I think of it and what I've heard. There's not some central thing sitting in my brain. Oh, that's who I am. It's a lot of different elements sort of combining and they evolve. They evolve with experience, age, things we hear, the culture we're in, all of that sort of comes together. But I do like that Shakespeare quote, "To thine own self be true." You kind of know what draws your interest, what gets your attention, what you really want to focus on,
Yeah.
things that excite
Yeah.
you,
I actually,
that, for lack of better words, move your soul.
so,
Do them.
for
Yeah.
me, I've been indifferent with this show, but, just sitting here talking about topics with you, we talk about a wide range of stuff. I come up with a lot of these
Yeah.
topics, and you just roll right with them, and we just get deep, and it's that kind of is what excites me. I don't know. I,
Yeah, I'm with you. Right. This show, for example, the fact that you've gotten us together to start talking about all manner of topics, is just wonderful because it gives me a chance too to express myself, like you
I
said,
mean,
and I think it's really helpful.
like, think
Yeah.
about it. I'm in the comfort of my home right now, right? I can use my bathroom
Yeah.
whenever I want. My refrigerator's right there. Yours is the same. There's snow
right.
outside. It's freezing, and you and I
Yes,
are
it
in
is.
here, comfy, cozy, and warm, and having great conversations and talking about the coolest topics. So I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
that feels to me like I'm being authentic because I get to still learn and I get to go on adventures and I can sit in my comfortable chair and go on adventures, you know,
I agree with you.
of
Yeah,
the
exactly. I
of
feel
the
the exact
mind
same way.
and
The
everything
adventures
else.
of the mind. And if I want to go out physically, I know I could do that too. But for this, that's exactly how I feel too. This moves me. I feel it. I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
So I'd like to keep doing
I
it for
feel
as
like
long as I'm allowed and
I feel
capable.
like we get to step up to the plate every time and we just
Yeah,
get better at it and that
glorious.
makes me feel more authentic. And
I agree.
anything else? I think that's it.
Oh, that's everything. Yeah, the authentic self.
All right, I'm gonna put up the L, Mr. Hootie, and we're gonna be out.